Family and fellow soldiers, I'm the Professor, and this is the Moment of Truth. In last evening's Sunday address, we talked about the pretense that Trump used for his quote-unquote takeover of D.C., and that was the alleged attempted carjacking of one Edward Big Balls Corsetine. This happened to be a member of Doge, who along with his co-conspirator Marco Elez, also happened to be on the scene to take photographs of this guy, and I assert that this is all part of a hoax, that it was all staged. Well, this morning's briefing in a way dovetails with that. Brother Tariq has given his own take about Trump's takeover of D.C., and one of the things that he's put forward is that he believes that Trump's takeover of D.C. is meant to kill two birds with one stone. The first, of course, is to remove Jeffrey Epstein from the headlines so Trump can get some of the heat off of himself, at least for now. But Brother Tariq has also asserted that this would inevitably be used as a way for Trump to ramrod through some of his immigration policies under the guise of expediting his anti-crime schemes through forcing local and federal cooperation to take place. One of the things that's occurred since Trump took over D.C. police is that his DOJ used this authority to rewrite a directive that has now eliminated a D.C. rule that limited cooperation between the D.C. police and federal immigration authorities. The District of Columbia sued the Trump administration and Attorney General Pam Bondi earlier on that same day. D.C. alleges that Bondi's efforts to scuttle the district's sanctuary rules curbing local police cooperation with immigration authorities during the federal police takeover are illegal. So what this means is the leaders of D.C.'s local government had put a sanctuary city policy in place no matter what the locals actually thought of it. And as I've detailed for you here, even these crooked cops have found ways to get paid off of illegal immigration by getting kickbacks from the human traffickers, like what's been going on in Louisiana, where even police chiefs would, for a few $1,000s, write up false police reports claiming that some illegal alien was a victim of a crime or a witness to a crime, and that would get them a special visa for crime victims and witnesses, which would allow them to stay in the U.S. So when you have the police claiming that immigration enforcement would make illegals scared to cooperate with police, what they really mean is that enforcing immigration would eliminate a lucrative income stream that the thugs in blue have come to rely on. But this latest change in D.C. also dovetails with another change from a few months ago. I've been saying that the Orange Man cannot say that he's serious about immigration enforcement unless he begins to target these crooked employers who knowingly break the law and hire illegals. Well, Trump's DOJ said that they're going to start targeting these employers. Back in February, Attorney General Pam Bondi issued a directive instructing all U.S. attorneys to treat immigration-related offenses, including employing, transporting, or harboring undocumented workers, as investigative and charging priorities. The directive instructs prosecutors to pursue the most severe penalties. Then, in May, the Department of Justice expanded its Corporate Whistleblower Awards pilot program to include corporate violations of federal immigration law among the categories eligible for financial awards. Under the program, whistleblowers whose original information leads to significant forfeitures may receive up to 30% of the recovered assets, creating the potential for multi-million-dollar payouts in large-scale immigration enforcement actions. So this potentially, if enforced, could amount to putting a bounty on the heads of unscrupulous employers. Nothing wrong with that. But there's also one other change that they made. U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement also have reintroduced and encouraged members of the public to use their tip line to report suspicious criminal activity, including illegal immigration and other violations of immigration laws. So, when you see people who clearly can't speak the language and are giving all the signs that they're from way out of town, you can and should call ICE to report this as suspicious activity. If you see something, say something. Now, equally interesting to me is how the white media's business pages are treating these developments, where previously all we ever heard was how implementations like these are impossible and way too costly for business and how unfeasible it is. Now we're beginning to get the white media starting to sing a different tune. Quote, A comprehensive I-9 audit for a company of 500 employees may cost between $10,000 and $20,000, and carefully reviewing and implementing an electronic I-9 and E-Verify system typically requires between $5,000 and $15,000 up front, with additional annual maintenance costs to cover vetting and implementation efforts. While these are significant investments, they pale in comparison to the potential civil fines up to $2,861 per defective I-9 and double that if the defective I-9 relates to an undocumented worker. Possible criminal exposure, massive fines, forfeitures, and disgorgement of profits, workforce shortages and operational impacts, and reputational fallout of enforcement actions. And Bloomberg Business ended the article by writing, "As enforcement intensifies and regulatory expectations rise, the cost of waiting is too high. Businesses that build compliance into their operations now will be better equipped to weather audits, respond to investigations, and maintain workforce stability. What was once viewed as a defensive legal necessity has become a marker of operational maturity and long-term resilience." Long-term resilience. So they're writing this as if it's going to be a permanent part of the business landscape. And instead of arguing typically how complying with these directives is bad for business and unfairly burdens businesses with additional costs, instead we got at least one white media outlet saying that businesses better start adjusting to this new reality now because that will save them money in the future. This is not going away, seems to be the point that they're making. We will see. But the point is, they're not talking in the usual claptrap about angry businessmen who are objecting to all of this and want this stopped. Usually that's the line that gets put in there. They put in how so-and-so business consortium or so-and-so business association says that they're going to be fighting this and you can't do this and all these costs, etc. They're not even putting that in there. Their slant on this story was to talk about the necessity for businesses to comply with these worker verification schemes, not how it's unnecessarily burdensome for them to do so. And also, if these businesses and their mouthpieces want to try to claim that it's so expensive for them to comply with things like E-Verify, wait till you see the cost of not doing so. Alright, now before we go any farther, let's go ahead and get this straight. I've been hearing chatter like this, but I haven't seen any employers actually getting jammed up. Until that begins to happen in appreciable numbers. These press releases are not much more than PR moves meant to pacify people who want to see serious action taken. But the moves in D.C., if followed up on and enforced, would be a great first move towards a nationwide model for compelling these local yokels to comply and coordinate with federal authorities on immigration enforcement. Now, we all know exactly why it is that this takeover of D.C. happens to also be a problem for Black Americans. It's largely because of the D.C. police themselves. It's not the National Guardsmen who are out there harassing Black folks. It's the thugs in the D.C. Police Department who feel as if now they got a little bit of extra time on their hands to go ahead and indulge their anti-Black whimsy. That's a huge part of it. But white supremacy believes in taking both sides of the conversation. They believe in duality. They believe in what there is that you see, and then there's something else going on just underneath that isn't so visible. Well, for our part, we go ahead and push back against whatever it is that's against our interest, that tries to curtail our movements or otherwise tries to make our lives harder. But by the same token, since ICE has re-implemented its tip line, at least on that front, there's certainly no reason why Black folks shouldn't be making sure that the authorities know what's going on, including any of these dirty cops who might decide that they're going to be trying to make a little bit of money for themselves off of illegal immigration. If Black folks are told that we just have to deal with extra scrutiny and harassment, then there's absolutely no reason why these illegal aliens and these unscrupulous employers shouldn't have to do the same. Good day. And be one. I'd like to take a moment to mention some of our contributors. Rod Spade, Immigrant B1, Najee95, Nada86, and Morris Bodden. Salute to them and thank you to everyone for listening, liking, and sharing this message. Black empowerment only exists because of you.